This is 3 Republic fighter tanks, and today we're going to take a look at how I turned these 3 sets into a Republic Attack Shuttle. As you'll see, my original idea wasn't even a Republic Attack Shuttle, it was actually a Hammerhead Corvette. But very quickly, I realized that wasn't actually going to be possible, and we were going to have to shift gears into something a little more feasible. So I've got all my pieces laid out. I have all the smaller bags that were inside the larger bags in these bowls up here, and then I have each of the larger bags going into these clear tubs. And then I have my stickers sitting off to the left, and I am going to apply all the stickers because most people tend to. I've got some photos of the Hammerhead Corvette pulled up for a little bit of inspiration, and as of right now, that's what this video is supposed to be, so if it's titled anything else, this intro segment isn't going to work as well. I just finished applying all the stickers in this set, and that was a horrible process. That was absolutely painstaking to do. But on the bright side, it's done now, so we can finally get to building, and already, I don't think a Hammerhead's going to work out. I have a few other ideas suggested by you guys, so we'll see how it goes. The other night while I was building, I just realized I was going to need a few more pieces that none of the fighter tanks had, so I had to run to Target and grab a new Obi-Wan Starfighter. And because I've changed my idea so many times, I'm not sure what the title of this video is going to be, but if it's something about a Hammerhead Corvette, this is obviously not a Hammerhead Corvette. As of right now, the current idea that I'm working on is some sort of Republic Attack Shuttle alternate build, but it's not working out the best. I have a decent overall layout for the shuttle, you know, the main interior back here with the cockpit up front, but as I'm working on the cockpit, I'm just incredibly unsatisfied with it. But I think the thing that I don't like is these thick sides. While I think they have a good shape to them, I like the overall shape, I think they're just way too thick. I think a single brick's thickness is way too much. So what I'm thinking I'll do is use plates instead. It might end up just as thick, but I think the plates will have a better overall look for it as well. But I'm gonna get cracking on this again because I have not made a lot of progress and I have spent an insane amount of time on it. This alternate build is absolutely kicking my ass. Alright everyone, it's the end of the following day. Yesterday I said I was going to work on the head and make the sides a little bit thinner using plates, and I actually did finish that yesterday, but I didn't have anything else done, and it had been like 4 hours, so I didn't want to have an update of just this small bit, so I decided I would record the following day, which is today, and now we have a whole lot more done, but despite all the pieces in front of me, I'm actually still running out of pieces to plate up the sides and properly plate up the wings. I have one more fighter tank in my collection that I can open up and use the pieces for this alternate build, and that would bring the total number of sets up to 5. 4 fighter tanks and then 1 Obi-Wan Starfighter. And I know that only makes it more expensive, but it's pretty expensive already, so I say what the hell with the price. I might just increase it even more because I need the pieces and I really want to make this look the best that I can. But without showing too much, let's focus on the head real quick. I did make it out of plates and it is quite thick up on the front, but there are minimal gaps besides on the sides of the cockpit glass here. I think I did a pretty good job covering up the gaps that were around this front door, and I think I'll just have to live with these gaps near the cockpit, because I think it looks pretty solid and it's pretty much done for now. So I started moving on to the rest of the build and I started structuring up the body, and now the rigid frame for the body is done, and I'm moving on to the wings to see if the wings are actually possible with the pieces that I have. I need a lot more larger plates to finish them up, and I don't really have too many large plates left. A lot of them are just these 4x4s or maybe some 3x3s, but I'm going to try and get it done without opening up another set, but if this climbs up to 5 sets for this alternate build, so be it. Alright everybody, this alternate build is coming along great, but it also just got a little bit more expensive because I opened up my final Republic fighter tank. This alternate build was already really expensive using 3 fighter tanks and 1 starfighter, so I'm not too hard on myself about adding in 1 more. I know not everybody is really going to want to be able to build this or even have the ability to build this. This is more for those army builders that had a number of Republic fighter tanks laying around and then maybe they want to do something else with their Jedi Starfighter as well. But enough dilly-dallying. Now that I have these extra pieces, I'm very confident that I can get this alternate build done in the fashion that I want to and make it look the way that I want. So hopefully this is the last little bit of B-roll that I need to shoot before we move into the final product review. And so it was. Here we have our completed Republic Attack Shuttle, made from 4 Republic fighter tanks and 1 Obi-Wan Starfighter. Complete with space for 15 minifigures inside the interior cabin, which is space for almost every minifigure in this alternate build, except for a few. The only minifigures that can't fit comfortably and that I didn't really account for are the figures from Obi-Wan Starfighter. Now technically you can fit 19 minifigures, which would allow Tonwei and Obi-Wan to fit in the shuttle, but we'll touch on that later. And while we're talking about minifigures, I did actually do a small minifigure alternate build of sorts, which really just means I combined Mace Windu and one of these 187th commanders to make a more unique looking Jedi, and then this Force sensitive clone commander. And I have thought up a small backstory for these 2 minifigures, mainly this clone commander, so I'll leave that in the description because it's a little too much to talk about. Now the shuttle itself I'm incredibly happy with. I really think I nailed that new class shuttle shape, especially with the large bulky head. As you saw, I did end up using wedge plates to create these side armor panels instead of the larger bricks that I later used on the body. Then I also added in these round bricks on the bottom of the side armor panels to create some illusion of the cannons that should be there on the shuttle. But I couldn't figure out a build for a cannon without it sticking off way too far, and then it just didn't look right, so I decided to get rid of the cannon and then just use this piece to resemble it instead. Now I did, however, manage to work in a fully functional front hatch. Now I'll admit it doesn't work perfectly because there isn't exactly enough space to actually stud your minifigure down in there, so you just kind of have to lay them in there and then close the hatch up. But the door on the outside does sit just perfectly between those side armor panels, an advantage of using the plates rather than those bricks. And above this hatch, we have the cockpit and the entire reason for buying Obi-Wan's starfighter, this cockpit canopy piece. The only decent cockpit canopy piece that comes in the Republic fighter tank is this, and this definitely wasn't going to work for me. So I had to go out and buy a new set just for this. But opening up this whole assembly, we can take a look inside the cockpit and see our pilot surrounded by control panels to fly this ship proper, and then behind him to keep him comfortable, a nice little headrest. With our pilot back in place, we can look on either side of him and take a look at the main cannons for the shuttle. We've got a heavy laser cannon on top being the longer barrel, and then we have a small light laser cannon mounted just underneath that. And then before we continue into the main body, we're going to head on either side of these cannons and check out these wings. And as I was building these wings, I was actually running out of plates at an incredibly fast rate, so in a few spots it's a little fragile, but for the most part they hold together. And I did use plenty of stickers to try and capture as much detail on the wings as possible, but I did add in a little bit of my own detail with this small pattern of white ingots. And the wings of course fold up and have a landed position, but I want to show you that a little bit later after we cover the main body and the interior. And speaking of the main body, it is incredibly bulky and dense. The construction here is just bricks on bricks on bricks. But more specifically, I use these larger triangular bricks to establish the shape of the body, and then I have two hatches on either side to fill out the empty space that also give you access to the inside. And inside we have space for 15 troopers, 3 in each of these little sections, then we have 2 in between the 2 sections in the rear, and then 1 more using this fold out control panel up front. And as I mentioned earlier, there is technically a way to fit 19 minifigures, so our 2 figs from the Obi-Wan starfighter won't be left behind. They won't be perfectly comfortable sitting down like the rest, but if you position the blasters of our troopers just right, we can slide Obi-Wan and Tonway just in between them. And now we have every minifigure loaded up, but poor ol' R4 is still gonna get left behind. And even though Tonway is incredibly tall, the top hatch will still fold down just the same. With our hatches folded down, we can take a quick look at the detail that I worked on them with a little bit of stickers and then some smaller pieces here or there. Then above these, the top of the shuttle has a few more sticker details, and then it's largely just even more bricks to fill out that new class shuttle shape and silhouette. But we'll go ahead and swing around to the backside from the top, and we can check out the final bit of detail being these engines and this rear turret. The main engines are made up of these trans red 1x2s covered up by some grill pieces so it looks like it's peeking out when the ship's flying. And then this rear turret uses some of these white droid arms to give it a little bit of posability moving up and down. And that pretty much covers all the major details and features of the shuttle. Now I'll go ahead and take it off the stand and we can take a look at the wings in its landed mode. And just to be clear, this little stand is not part of the alternate build. You can't build it out of any of these sets. I tore this out of my old Executor SSD alternate build just so I could have an easy way of reviewing this shuttle. Now I've got the shuttle on the ground and I could properly show you the landed position. And I wanted to show you this once I finally had it off the stand, because when these wings fold up, they actually get in the way of these hatches. You can see when the wings are all the way up, it actually moves the hatches out of the way a little bit. And I know that's going to be really annoying for some people, but this really was the best way that I could accurately work in these wings and actually allow them to fold up. Now when it's sitting on your shelf, you don't have to have the wings just laying down like this. I did build some small assemblies out of these extra pieces to mount the wings in an elevated position. And now with those bumpers underneath, I have the wings sitting at their maximum elevated position without moving the hatches too much. You can see that it's peeking out just a little bit though. And as much as I would have preferred a better solution for the wings without moving these top hatches, I honestly don't think this is too bad and I think it looks pretty good still. And that pretty much covers the entire alternate build, but there is one small tiny play feature that I forgot about on the bottom side of the shuttle. Because the pilot and the passenger using the fold-out control panel can't hold onto their weapons, there are 2 weapon clips on the bottom side of the shuttle so you don't lose those anywhere in your collection. And while we're on the underside, let me warn you that the bumper for these wings that actually stops them is all brick built, so it's a little fragile. I wouldn't recommend letting these wings slam down, because then the plates will start to separate and eventually it'll just fall off. So when you're bringing the wings down in a flight position, make sure you have a few fingers supporting this assembly on either side. And that is the Republic Attack Shuttle alternate build. I really hope you guys enjoyed this alternate build. I really loved remaking this ship. It's one of my favorites to come out of the Clone Wars, and I'm really hoping LEGO will make an official set of this again soon. But while we wait for an official set, if you want to build one of these for yourself, I have PDF building instructions available on my Patreon page right now. Let me know what you guys think of this alternate build in the comments down below, and if you liked it, make sure to drop a like down on this video and subscribe if you want more alternate builds in the future. But other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Peace, fellas.